Denmark is not a very big place. The Danish realm is absolutely massive, and this is exclusively down to the inclusion of Greenland. And given its size, its important position, and its distance from the nation of Denmark, this raises a question. How did it come to be in the possession of the Danes, and how did they keep it? So, by the 10th century, the Danes and Norse Vikings had been sailing all over Europe doing what they do best. And part of that was settling lands like the Faroe Islands and Iceland. Some Norsemen opted to go west and came across Greenland, where they too settled. And it wasn't long until one of these settlers, Leif Erikson, travelled from Greenland to North America, becoming the first European to ever do so. Greenland was already poorly populated and as such was mostly ignored by the Norwegian monarchy, although it was a formal part of the kingdom, and this was mostly down to a lack of communication, since a round trip from Greenland to Trondheim took many months. By the 15th century, mostly due to the plague, the Norwegians were gone, and in their absence the Portuguese laid claim to the land. That said, they never did anything there, and so everyone just ignored this claim. At the turn of the 16th century, empire was very fashionable, and not wanting to be left out, the Kingdom of Denmark-Norway, ruled by one man with two different titles, sought to colonise Greenland again. And in the 18th century, Greenland joined Iceland and the Faroe Islands as a formal part of the Kingdom of Norway. Seems pretty simple who it would belong to, but in came Napoleon to complicate things, as always. Now Denmark made one silly decision during Napoleon's tenure, which was to be his ally. This led to two outcomes. First was that Britain shelled Copenhagen, finally teaching the Danes how it feels to have a bunch of angry ships turn up off your shore and set things on fire. The second outcome was that the Kingdom of Denmark-Norway lost Norway to Sweden in the Treaty of Kiel. As part of this treaty, it was stated that whilst Denmark would lose Norway, it would retain the Faroe Islands, Iceland and Greenland, which were then increasingly settled by the Danish in the following century. In 1867, Denmark was approached by the United States with a cash offer to buy Greenland and Iceland. I mean, because if you can buy Alaska, why not Greenland? The Danish said no. Norway would go on to gain its independence in 1905 and immediately disputed Denmark's ownership of Greenland. Nothing much was done though until 1931, when the Norwegians, led by the explorer Helge Ingstad, sailed to Greenland and settled this region. They did this because as far as they were concerned, the Danish were only given the occupied area of Greenland in the Treaty of Kiel and not all of it. This dispute went to international arbitration, and in the end it was decided that Norway needed to calm down and leave, which they did in 1933. So after this, Denmark's ownership of the island was fairly secure. The exception was in World War II, when after the fall of Denmark, Greenland was occupied by the United States for the rest of the war. When peace was restored in Europe, President Truman offered the Danish a pretty large sum of money in return for Greenland. This was because its geographic position was valuable in controlling the North Atlantic, specifically preventing the USSR from doing anything there. Again, Denmark said no, and afterwards Greenland was formally incorporated into the Danish realm, gaining more autonomy over the following decades. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with a special thanks to my patrons: James Bizanet, Kelly Moneymaker, The Pastry Section, Marvin Cassow, Rob Waterhouse, Mo, Aaron the White, James Castaneda, Danny Maloney, Jordan Longley, Marcus Arsner, Gustav Swan, Jerry Lambdin, John Bailey, Spinning Three Plates, Rashid Ali, Colin Castleman, David Silverman, Izzy, Copper Tone, Maggie Paxkowski, Winston Kaywood, Lexi Schwinn, Spencer Lightfoot, Robert Wetzel, Fortunate Calf, Anthony Beckett and Sky Chappelle.